The parents of a Florida college student who died in an alleged hazing incident are pushing for a new federal anti-hazing law. Florida State junior Andrew Coffey was found unresponsive on a couch the morning after a Phi Kappa Phi fraternity party in November. A lawsuit claims he'd been asked to drink an entire bottle of 101 proof bourbon. He died of acute alcohol poisoning. 9 fraternity brothers pleaded not guilty to hazing charges. Coffey's parents spoke publicly for the first time to our Tony DeCopel in an interview you'll see only on CBS This Morning. Tony, good morning.
Good morning. As you can imagine, the Coffeys are never really going to move on from this, but they are beginning to move forward. Hazing has killed at least one person a year since 1961, and Andrew Coffey was one of 4 victims in 2017. In this new lawsuit, the Coffey family is seeking justice and accountability. Their goal to help lead a new movement against hazing, one that might keep their son's memory alive by saving others.
My son, and if people in the past had gotten together, maybe my son would still be here if hazing wasn't a problem. So we have to yell as loud as we can in order to get this stopped. I don't want another family going through what we go through, cry ourselves to sleep.
It's been just 4 months since Tom and Sandra Coffey got the news their 20-year-old son Andrew had died in an alleged hazing incident.
When you send your child away, it's the last thing you're thinking of. Never even crosses your mind. It's getting him into his dorm, getting his classes lined up, getting, this never crossed our mind.
I remember driving, going, this doesn't happen to us.
Andrew had been a high school athlete with dreams of joining the Navy after college.
Great kid. You can count on him. He was...
She hates my description of 6'2", swimmer's body, handsome as the day is long, and a smile that'll light up a room,
I don't hate that. He's only 6 foot, though. Like, you gotta tell the truth.
He was a hero on me, 6'2".
No,
6'2".
but just made the right decisions.
Yeah.
Becoming a brother at Pi Kappa Phi was a goal even before he enrolled at Florida State.
His friends belonged, and he joined with them at some of the fraternity functions and everything else and wanted to belong.
What did you guys think about him becoming a brother?
Just told him we had a deal. We just said, grades suffer because of partying or something like that, then, you're out. And he agreed to that.
But the idea of a fraternity sounds like a good one, right?
It does. Support system, brothers, friendships for life.
But according to a lawsuit filed by the Coffeys, the fraternity had been hazing and having pledges abuse alcohol for years. On the night of his death, Andrew drank a bottle of 101 proof bourbon in an initiation ritual known as the family bottle.
His lips are purple. His body's extremely stiff, and I can't wake him up, and I honestly don't feel a pulse.
It wasn't until the next morning that a pledge called 911.
Why do you think no one called for help for so long?
That's the question that wakes us up in the middle of the night.
Exactly. There were estimated 100 people at that party, and 99 of them didn't help my son. Andrew died in a room full of people that just didn't care.
Yeah.
And he died alone.
A spokesperson for the fraternity says, with the pending litigation, we are unable to provide comment.
Hazing is the byproduct of peer pressure. And peer pressure gets really good young people to do things that they would otherwise never do.
David Bianchi, the Coffey's attorney, helped pass a Florida law in 2005 that made hazing a felony and also blocks defendants from claiming the victim went along willingly. The legislation, named after a hazing victim, Chad Meredith, is one of the strictest in the nation.
This is what you want to see, except you want it to say United States of America, not State of Florida.
State of Florida. We want a federal law.
17 years after their son Chad's death, Jerry and Carol Meredith are still fighting for stronger laws elsewhere.
Every morning I see his picture, I'll talk to him about it, saying they're still working on it. So I pray.
There will be people who will watch this interview and they'll think to themselves, hazing has been happening for decades.
Sure.
What hope is there really that it's ever going to end?
Well, if we don't do something, it definitely is not going to end. You're just not supposed to bury your kids.
They've joined with the Coffeys and more than a dozen other surviving families to form PUSH, Parents United to Stop Hazing,
which includes the Piazza family whose son Tim died at Penn State last winter. Together, they're rallying for justice.
How do you break the cycle?
Accountability and education. A federal statute has to be written that goes from the top, where the national fraternity is at risk, as well as the local chapter, and then education to high school students.
And if they succeed, their hope is that PUSH never adds a new member.
It's about legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we keep his spirit alive, then he's not dead.
If this can go to Washington, D.C., it could be the Andrew Coffey law. Is that something you'd like to see?
Yes.
Can't be for nothing. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, he can't have died for nothing. It has to be purpose.
And there is purpose. Shortly after Andrew's death, Florida State University acted swiftly in temporarily banning Greek life. But FSU's president tells us there is still room for improvement.
I don't want it to happen again on our campus. And I hope other campuses are paying attention to what we're doing, because I think we are making progress. But I will say this. I think Greek life, as we know it today, has to change in order for us to move forward with the positive things that the Greek community does.
The Coffeys and all the victims' families say it's important for schools to step up and have stricter policies across the board on this, maybe a one-and-done rule.
Yes, that president is so right. It has to change. And just because it's been happening for decades doesn't make it right. I love whoever said hazing is a byproduct of peer pressure.
Yeah, that was the lawyer.
You really feel the Coffey's pain because, when you take your kids to school, you're going to Bed Bath & Beyond, you're picking up pillowcases and duvets.
They remember reading the Piazza story back in February,
yes,
the Penn State death, never thinking it would apply to their life, and then months later.
Your piece should be shown to every college student that's going away. It really should.
The parents would like that.
The pictures of Andrew Coffey, so much promise still yet ahead of him. That's what makes them so
much life. I think the message is that just like drunk driving, hazing is always risky and always wrong. That's what the parents want people to take away from this.